Hello from my kitchen. I have a rant for you. There are people in this world, I don't want to guess what percentage of the population, but there's a lot of them, who approach life as a war game. Each person they meet is an enemy, or a teammate, a fellow warrior, a soldier in the war. In some fashion or another, we're all part of one side or the other. These people think in black and white. When they meet you, they figure out your weaknesses so they can exploit it. And their ability to exploit your weaknesses for their own gain gives them a sense of strength. They don't feel strong. They don't feel strong in the sense that I don't know what's coming up next, but I'll figure it out when I get there. That sense of confidence that gives you security and strength no matter how bad things get. You're like, one thing I do know is I'll work it out. I don't know how. I don't know how much it's going to hurt, but I know I'll sort it out. These bullies don't have that. And I'm calling them bullies now. They don't have that strength. They're strong people. If you ever played with silly putty, it's a non-Newtonian fluid, if you will. When you move it slowly, it stretches and moves and shapes and deforms. When you push hard on it, it resists, and when you put it under great force, it breaks. So you can bounce it off a wall, and it will bounce, and it will retain its shape. You can shape it slowly and gradually to meet whatever your need is, but sudden force will cause it to shatter. And that's what I think of these people, is they're like silly putty people. They can bend and conform themselves to suit any situation. If you push them, they push back really hard. But when they're under any real strain, they just collapse. And I've seen it happen. These are the people who lose their temper. These are the people who start desperately trying to figure out to whom to send the blame. Look at all these wrinkles in my shirt. There we go. Silly putty people. So I just want to introduce a new term to the world. Silly putty people. Now, another thing that silly putty does that these people can do is transfer images. Now, silly putty, you put it on the on the newspaper, newsprint, and it pulls off the cartoons or the words or the photograph, whatever the ink was printed. And these people like to imprint themselves with the environment as well. They will choose the strongest person in the room, and they will adhere and pull off the image. They will wear that person. They will become, emulate that person. Can't become them. They will attempt to become them. And in point of fact, these kinds of people are the ones who eventually supplant those they once admired. These are the people that you say, I can't believe he did me like that. I thought we were friends. These are the people that years and years of trust and friendship is merely an investment in an opportunity that they haven't found yet. And when you provide the opportunity, they'll happily betray you because they never really meant it. And it can be years. If you're worth nothing to them, but you have some value in your, having you in the life, you do stuff for them, or you have some value to them, they will keep you around until such time as your value isn't worth whatever level of friendship you're expecting from them. And it's, they're because they can imprint themselves, they're perfectly capable of appearing to be of like mind, of appearing to be of good character, of good moral standing, of honesty. And when you catch them out in minor things that maybe don't go with the character that they've been sharing with you. You know, it's an exception, it's an occasion, it's a moment, and you sit and think to yourself, well, you know, I even under strain, I wouldn't go there, I wouldn't have done that. But you forgive them because, you know, they're flattering you, making you think that, well, maybe you're stronger than the average person, and maybe it is unreasonable to require strength of others. Maybe it's not. I've long gotten in trouble for expecting more from people than they can deliver. So I somewhere along the line stopped demanding anything of people except, you know, don't be mean. And I have managed to see how people can be really nasty without being mean. It's quite a trick. They do take a lot of pride in themselves. At any rate, silly putty people are important. We need them. And they're a big problem. Big problem. They're the ones that are causing all the grief in your life. It's the silly putty people. I want more of us to be thinking on figuring out how to love these people back into the human race, to where they're not looking for enemies everywhere they go. How do we change that dynamic? Because we'll never get rid of that quality in the human race. It has its values, it has its evolutionary successes, and you know, you want to be valued. You want to be valued for yourself as you are. Well, I think if you want that, you have to give that. And that includes to people who don't give it. You have to recognize that those people too, their pain is real. Even when it's not. They think it's real. It's real. It matters. But that's no excuse to manipulate others, but it is reason to be dealt with with a loving attitude. And I don't mean Dr. Phil tough love where you just boot them out on the street and go fuck yourself. I mean, I'm sorry, but that's not it either. And I think the places that we need to look for the right answer is going to be from masters of peace and love, like the Dalai Lama and Mahatma Gandhi and Martin Luther King Jr. Jesus. Trying to think of all of the people in history that we have written down who have tried to teach messages of love and forgiveness, and most of them managed to, if you absolutely follow their dictates, you will become the victim of every silly putty person that walks around, that walks past you. They will stick to you and collect you in the folds of their silly putty world, and it'll take you a long time to figure out how to get loose from them without being the person you swore you wouldn't be. So that's the trouble with following like Jesus' advice to turn the other cheek. They will go ahead and slap it, I guarantee it. And when you have no more cheeks to give, they'll slap you square on. And seriously, that's not the answer either. It's not turn the other cheek. It's not give them the rest of your money. It's not bankrupt yourself so that someone else will see your generosity. There's somewhere else going on in there. But we do need to reach out to each other. And I hope you will join me in trying to figure out how. Thank you for listening.